Hi, Mystery Writers. Welcome to Write a Killer Mystery. My name is Zara Altair, and this is where we learn to make a good mystery great. Today, I want to talk about how to actually finish your mystery novel, because there are those places where you get stuck and it feels like it's never going to work. So we're going to talk about how to deal with those stuck places. First, I want to thank my supporters on Patreon who help keep this series going. And if you would like to support Write a Killer Mystery, there is a link in the description below. All right, so how to get that novel finished, because the end is a long, long way from the beginning. After you start writing a novel, you may encounter stuck places. And for new writers, these obstacles can keep you from continuing your story. Dreadful thoughts pop into your head, thoughts that discourage, thoughts that build doubt, and thoughts that really can instill guilt. And I'm not a good writer. My story sucks. This is too hard. I'm not up to it. I've wasted all my time in my life working on this thing that isn't working. These are the kinds of thoughts that can pop into your head when you're at a stuck place in your story. But what you need to know is that every writer goes through fear at some point. They go through these doubts. It's that pit in the stomach, I'm not good enough, my story sucks, no one will ever read this. Fear, and it blasts through and strikes all writers. And your creativity goes on this emotional roller coaster ride. So creativity is risk-taking. And the thing you need to know is that successful multi-book authors have the same fears. So today I want to talk about how to take action before that fear actually takes over, as soon as you start feeling those thoughts popping into your head. And it really has to do with coordinating your left brain and your right brain. So your left brain gives you ideas to keep going with your right brain creativity. First of all, you just need to know that doubts are going to creep in. It happens to everybody. It never stops. It's not like you get through one book and then the next book it's not going to happen. It happens. But you can work to minimize those fears, and the best antidote to writer fear is determination. And of course, it's determination that is spurred into action. All right, doing nothing's not going to have any result whatsoever. So, when you arrive at that stuck place in your novel, the best thing to do is to step away, because staring at that blank screen or blank page isn't going to get you anywhere. So there's two story actions that you can use to continue your story, and they're based on plot and they're based on the characters. So let's take a look at each one. First is the plot fix. So step away from your story and then go back and review your novel planning material. Novel planning helps you write faster because you know what comes next in your mystery. So if you're stuck, you may have hit a plot hole. And a plot hole is a missing bridge from one section of your story to the next section in your story. And go back to your plot and your storyline and look for how to get the story from where you're stuck to where you need to go next. Think of it as the difference between long-term planning, the plot, and short-term planning, the plot hole fix. It's not that your story is wrong. it's that you need to add a bridge from one action scene to another scene or chapter. And so it's from the place where you're stuck to the scene or chapter that follows. So brainstorm bridges, all right? Brainstorm bridges from your stuck place to where your story takes up next. And your character may need to take an additional action. Another character may pose a threat or present an unforeseen obstacle. It may be something as simple as your protagonist sleuth reviewing the clues so far and focusing on one, a clue or a red herring that spurs your protagonist to the next stage. Make a list of your bridge ideas and then evaluate which one works best, not only in the story, but at this particular point in your story. Okay, so that's a brief review of looking at plot holes and how to fix them with bridges between your scenes or chapters. And then also another way you can approach that stuck place is a character dive. It's equally powerful as a way to get out of that stuck place. You go deeper into your characters. You look at the characters in the scene where you've come to that stop, right? Often you have a deep understanding of your protagonist sleuth, but may not have deep character development for another character in the scene, like a suspect. So go back to that character and add more traits, especially character traits to the character or characters in the scene. Think about how one or two of these character traits could develop a new conflict. Stories thrive on conflict, right? So brainstorm the consequences of your protagonist's response. Will she act immediately but dig herself deeper into trouble? Or will he act with one of his character traits in a way that he'll regret later? So consider how the traits of each character in the scene can influence their action. Make a list of consequences. This is really important. Make a list of consequences for each character action and think about how those consequences drive the story forward. Both of these actions, plot review and character dive, feel like left brain activities. But once you start brainstorming, you'll have an array of ideas to consider. And those choices are creative ideas. And now that you have creative ideas, you can return to your story and keep going. So all of this is about having a better idea. The opposite of being stuck, your new ideas may lead to some revisions in your storyline, and that's how the story writing process works. And as you continue brainstorming, you may arrive at plot changes. And I know authors who've changed the villain in their mystery because another character makes more sense, and they may do that halfway through the story, and they realize that one character makes a better villain than the one they had originally thought of. So don't be afraid to make changes like that. And they result, in that particular example, it results from a real deep dive into characters. You'll find that brainstorming, either plot or character, gets your creative flow going and enriches your story. And the best reward is that brainstorming gets you writing again so you can finish your novel. Yay, right. So don't be overwhelmed by those stuck places. Just keep writing. And I want to thank you for being here today, and I hope that helps. And please comment below and tell me your thoughts about these strategies for getting out of a stuck place. I'd love to hear them. And of course, um, using Plotter to do your story outlining, I think, is a great way to get it all lined up and visualized, because you can obviously go through the plot of your story, but you can also create storylines for your major characters and line them up with the main story plot. So if you're interested in giving Plotter a look, there's a link in the description below. Okay, thanks once again, and keep writing.